Hi, welcome to Reddit Tea Time. My 19-male mom passed away 3 years ago. A parent's death is always going to be traumatic, but my older sister, 25 female, took it particularly hard. She was always really close with our mom, so I understand that it would be more difficult for her to process. Pretty soon after my mom's passing, around 7 months, my dad told us he was dating his best friend, Thomas. Thomas has been friends with my dad since they were in college. For all of our lives, we called Thomas our bonus dad because of how involved he was in pretty much everything. He came to our school plays, awards ceremonies, our graduations, was there when we took prom photos. The list goes on. Nearly every single significant life moment that I've had that my parents were there for, so was Thomas. It was a little bit of a shock when he first told us, but I love my dad and Thomas. And maybe some would call me cheesy or say that I'm reading too much into things. But there's something in my dad's eyes now that just reads as peaceful. I think he deserves that. My sister didn't take this announcement as well as I did. She claimed that it was way too soon after my mom's passing for my dad to start dating. Now, this is where I may be the bonehead. As I said, it's been 3 years since my mom passed, so it's been over 2 that my dad and Thomas have officially been together. I understand that grief is different for everyone, and I still miss my mom every single day. But the bitterness my sister holds is unreasonable in my eyes. She came home over Christmas, but she's never overly friendly with Dad or Thomas, and it frustrates me. I called her out on it this year in private and told her she needed to stop making our dad feel guilty for moving on. She claimed she knew more than I did, and that she was 99% sure that Dad and Thomas had something going on while Mom was still alive. I told her I really didn't care if they did. That might sound messed up, which is why I'm asking for judgment, but that's my dad's life, not mine. I said that there was no reason for us to be angry on Mom's behalf because she's gone. But our dad and Thomas are still here, and she's wasting years with them, worried about what I'm sure was a very nuanced situation. She hasn't spoken to me since Christmas. Am I the bonehead? Edit. There seems to be a pervasive misconception that I told my sister to move on. I never did that. I don't think anyone ever moves on from a parent or spouse's death in the sense that it just leaves their mind. I told her she needs to stop guilting our dad over choosing a new romantic partner. The title, Unable to be Edited, was me attempting to be concise or get across the point that I was asking her to let go of the animosity she harbors towards him, not asking her to move on from our mom. The comments insinuating I've forgotten about my mom or don't care about her anymore are a leap and extremely off-putting to say to a stranger. Now for some comments. You're the bonehead. Her feelings are valid. Her hurt is valid. She may in fact know more than you do, and that is also why she may be so angry and hurt. You have no right to tell your sister to get over it. Just because you're okay with the situation doesn't mean she has to be. You'll be lucky if she speaks to you again. It's not your place to tell her she should move on with her grief. So for that, you're the bonehead. Wait, so you don't even care that your dad had an affair with Thomas while your mom was still alive? Jesus, I hope my kids will never be so cruel like you are. You're the bonehead. Stop pressuring her into a relationship with them. She has every right to not have one, especially not if your dad cheated on your mom this entire time. My cousin had an affair with my sister-in-law's husband and is now 7 months pregnant. I found out a few days before everything was exposed, but because I didn't immediately tell everybody, my brother-in-law threw me under the bus to try to make himself look better, so it feels like I'm on thin ice with my husband and in-laws. We don't have a lot of family, so my cousin doesn't have anybody to help her, and she's also isn't in a good financial situation right now. I bought a few things for her baby to help out, but my husband saw before I could give them to her and is furious with me for continuing to speak to her and for spending his money on her. He wants me to return everything and to not help her after what she did to his sister. I understand why he's upset, but my cousin needs the help and her baby is the only one who'll miss out if I don't. Am I the bonehead? Now for some comments. It takes 2 to have an affair. It takes 2 to have a baby. But it seems all the blame fell on your cousin, not on the married man who got her pregnant. Not the bonehead. After what she did to his sister? Not the bonehead. Good for you for supporting what sounds like is going to be a single mom with a deadbeat baby daddy. Also, his money? Gross. You're married. It's just as much your money. Not the bonehead. A child is not to blame for the circumstances of its conception. It is entirely possible to condemn the act without condemning the mother and child. You sound like a fundamentally decent person, and you should feel good about that. My 68 male son, 44, found out a couple of years ago that his wife had an affair and that their youngest, 10 male, isn't his biologically. He was 6 years old at the time. He has 2 other children, 17 male and 13 female, that are his biologically. Since then, he and his ex-wife have gotten a divorce, and he has partial custody over his 2 biological children, while his ex has full custody of the youngest. The youngest was, needless to say, devastated when the man he knew as his father suddenly stopped showing him any kind of affection and said he wasn't his father anymore. He still has a very anxious attachment style as far as I've observed, and he's been in therapy for 3 years now. He has problems at school, and I'm pretty sure he's being bullied for it. His oldest became distant with him after this. He was 13 at the time, and you can see pretty clearly that he's less affectionate with his father than he used to be. After a while, he started asking me to help him with things that he would normally ask his father for, and he started coming over a lot more after school. Honestly, I'm pretty sure he has dinner with grandma and grandpa more often than he does either of his parents. 10 male still comes around to our house pretty often too. Since the divorce, I've noticed 13 female pull away from her parents as well. A year or 2 after the divorce, she asked my wife to take her shopping for a Christmas dress, for example. It all came to a head in the past couple of weeks. First, it was 17 male's graduation. My wife and I were invited, and he pretty much ignored his dad the whole time. Then apparently he posted a picture of me and him to his Instagram with a caption that says something like, "Couldn't have done it all without the man who made me a man." After that, it was the fact that his Boy Scout troop does this canoeing trip every Father's Day weekend, and he invited me to come instead of his dad. My son complained to me that he barely has a relationship with his kids now, and he thinks I'm horning in on his role as their father. My wife reads all these psychology articles, and she says it's because after he dropped 10 mil, his other 2 children didn't trust him anymore, and they pre-abandoned him. My daughter thinks I should probably let them sort it out amongst themselves and stop giving them another option so that they have no choice but to work things out. Am I the bonehead? Now for some comments. You are not the bonehead. You're showing up as 10 male's grandfather. The others, as you say, have formed a bond with you because you have shown yourself reliable unconditionally, which is what children need. Well done. As for your daughter's advice to effectively abandon the children now to let them sort it out, why would you take such cruel advice when your instincts are loving and kind? Tell your son, it's not a competition. Whether I'm in their life or not, you will still have a troubled relationship with your kids. Your mother has some theories as to why that is, so you may want to discuss any advice or insights she might have for you. But you know what will definitely not repair your bond with your kids? Wasting time complaining to me. Not the bonehead. And your daughter has an incredible amount of nerve to suggest that you basically abandon your grandchildren to try to manipulate them. Also, that's not how it works. If they already feel somewhat abandoned by their father, and then you abandon them, all you're teaching them is that father figures are unreliable and they shouldn't trust either of you. Not the bonehead. Your son showed all of the children that love is conditional and arbitrary. I agree that they're pre-abandoning him and he deserves it. They don't trust him. They have seen what he did to their sibling and the pain that it caused. I doubt they trust their mother either, since her actions precipitated this. You're doing a good thing by stepping up and being present for all of them. They need stability and certainty in their lives and their family relationships, and you're providing that. Unfortunately, I, 47 male, was roped into going to a work conference recently. I'm a remote worker, but sadly I was told that I needed to attend a conference that many of my coworkers go to each year due to how integral my duties were to this year's presentation, I suppose. I'm not buddy-buddy with any of my coworkers or my boss, but I am professional with them. This was the first work conference I had ever been to, so I didn't realize how much these things consumed the entirety of the time spent there. The first 3 nights of the conference, there were different dinners I had to attend after typical work hours, when over 8 hours had been spent doing work-related things at the conference already. Now, I don't really mind attending the actual conference that much. What I mind is the expectation that I spend any more time with my colleagues than necessary. In my opinion, if I've spent 8:30 to 5 at a work conference with coworkers attending work-related sessions and giving a work-related presentation, past 5 o'clock I am no longer at work. I was already rather peeved that this was not the expectation at the start, but I was at least informed of these 3 different formal or scheduled dinners once the conference schedule was released. The 4th and final night of the conference I expected would be completely mine because there was no conference-wide scheduled dinner. As such, the night before when I called my wife, I asked her if she wanted to eat dinner together, i.e. video call each other and eat together, then spend as many hours as possible chatting before going to bed, and she said that sounded lovely. I made plans to call at 7 our time, 6 where the conference was, and I was really looking forward to it, as obviously I love her and her company. Unfortunately, at lunch on the final day of the conference, my co-workers, my boss included, mentioned going to a specific restaurant. They asked if I was excited to go, and I said I wasn't going, but I hoped they enjoyed themselves. They acted like I smacked them and asked what I meant. I told them that I'd made plans to call my wife and eat dinner with her. I was then informed that apparently, there is some tradition of all my co-workers eating dinner together the last night. I said I wasn't informed and we had already eaten dinner together every other night, but I hoped they enjoyed themselves. My boss then said it was something I had to attend. Then some of my co-workers agreed and said it was an important part of the conference. I told my boss and co-workers that it was outside work hours, unpaid and not scheduled, plus I prefer my wife's company to theirs, so I was not going. They then told me I was being rude and a bonehead, and that I should have expected that we would all dine together the final night. I said that was ridiculous, but my boss implied that not attending would have repercussions. So I called my wife and apologized to her and sadly attended this stupid dinner. Am I the bonehead? Now for some comments. Incredibly naive, but not the bonehead. That's how conferences go. More career moves are made at those dinners than in the conference room, believe it or not. I want to say not the bonehead, but just want to also point out you're slowly burning bridges and causing dramas that may impact your professional career all for the sake of one evening. Suck it up. You are a remote worker, so you barely have to deal with colleagues except for these rare occasions. Not the bonehead, giving you the benefit of the doubt since this was your first work conference. Basic down low. This is what these conferences are generally like, at least every single one I've been to over a 30-year career. Especially the out-of-town ones, dinners and lunches with coworkers and probably the boss every day. This is your chance to network in a forced setting. Welcome to the corporate world. OP replied, "Ugh, and here I thought being a remote statistician was going to help me get out of these things. Thanks for the tip." What do you think? Please let me know in the comments below. If you like these stories, please consider subscribing. Hopefully, I'll see you in the next Reddit story. In the meantime, please take care of yourself. Bye for now.